Now, we all put a lot of information into our family trees, especially if we're using the online systems like Ancestry, FindMyPast, MyHeritage. It's very difficult to get information out. So in this video, I'll be assessing Family Tree Analyzer, which is one of the most wonderful free tools you can get your hands on. And it's basically working your GEDCOM. And the GEDCOM file, you're not going to affect your tree. There's no mistakes to be made. If you mess it up when you load it up, you can just reconstitute your GEDCOM. So it's a completely safe system to use to analyze your tree. Now, GEDCOMs you can unload from pretty much anywhere. This is an Ancestry page. I'm going here, and we just go download your GEDCOM file, and it will simply click on that, and it will download it. You can see it's coming up here, and it takes next to no time to do it. And then what we'll need to do is, now we've downloaded it, we can upload it into Family Tree Analyzer. So as I said, I'm not going to go into the how-to of Family Tree Analyzer, rather I'm going to show you what's there. The beauty of this system is we're loading up a GEDCOM, so if we make any mistakes, we can just reload it. It has no impact on your tree. Now, to save a little bit of time, I've already loaded a GEDCOM into this, but what we do is we go File and do recent files, which I've done, or we can just open a GEDCOM file. So it's very, very simple to load a GEDCOM in there. This first page is worth looking at because it takes all the status of your GEDCOM and tells you exactly what's in there. But something that's very, very good to use and correct right away is this here. What it's found is all the incorrect date formats, and I've put these back in. Now, this is one way you can quickly clean up your tree immediately. If you've got things in an incorrect or unrecognizable date format, all the systems that you're using will not work correctly. So as we load this into a Family Tree Analyzer, before we go to any of the lists, I would recommend you look to see if there's any dates that are incorrect or contain errors, and go and correct them right away. It will take you 10 minutes. And then below here is some status and all the individual facts that are unknown or custom facts. So using Ancestry, I've added a lot of custom fact types in there, and it's no big deal. It's just letting me know what's there. So let's go through very quickly here Family Tree Analyzer, and again, this is just a wonderful tool. It's free, so you're not going to get a lot of help. There's no 1-800 number to call, but there is a really useful Facebook page where you can pose any questions. So let's look across the top here at the menu, and so we have the file which we've just seen. We've got some standard reports. I'm not going to go into these because I create my own reports from Excel and directly from Family Tree Analyzer, but there are some interesting reports if you want to use them. Now, this is a key one here. This is the export, so I can export all my family individuals to Excel, and we'll see that in a second. Families, facts, locations, sources. As you can see, we can put them all into Excel, and that means I'm bringing the power to Excel to my GEDCOM. I can use all the different items in Excel, and let's kind of click over there. This is what the individuals look like in Excel, and it's a comma separated value file, so it goes directly in there, and I can pretty much do what I want on there. We have a whole bunch of individuals from our tree. It has different things in here: birth date, birth location, death date. Now I'll show you something very, very interesting shortly about how to use ChatGPT, because now the added benefits of using Family Tree Analyzer is now I've got access to the data. I don't have to use it in Ancestry or FindMyPast or Roots Magic. I don't even have to use it within Family Tree Analyzer. I can use it within a spreadsheet. And what that allows me to do is use ChatGPT. So let's kind of go over it really quickly, because this is really super. This is a chat I've just started, common family names, and I've loaded that spreadsheet that you've just seen. I loaded that directly into ChatGPT using this attached file here. So, and if you wish to learn a little bit more about ChatGPT, I've done a bunch of videos on that. I really recommend you go and look at my videos on ChatGPT because they're really helpful for genealogists. But I just loaded this spreadsheet, very, very simple, and I just said, give me a list of the 10 most common for and surnames. Now this is the way Family Tree Analyzer calls the names, not last and first, but for and surnames. It's the old English way. And it gives me, or without me doing anything else, it gives me the most popular names, surnames, and I can easily ask them to bar chart the data for me. So I basically said, give me bar chart. So I can do this. Again, remember I'm working on my GEDCOM. So this is taking work that I did in Ancestry or Find My Past or wherever, put into Family Tree Analyzer, and now I'm using the power of a spreadsheet and ChatGPT, which is wonderful. Now I'm bringing all these tools together, and as a genealogist or any researcher, you need to be able to manipulate these tools. So this is what that looks like. Top 10 surnames. I can even ask it to do an age distribution for those individuals with birth and death dates. Please graph age distribution. Ignore ages greater than 110. Now, for anybody who's used ChatGPT, you've really got to give it some instructions of how you want to do this. So I've told it to map the birth and death dates that are existing. So don't try and map people that don't have both the dates, and if there's an age greater than 110, it's probably an error. Don't even bother graphing it. And here's the graph. And I could go on now. So remember, I'm using this spreadsheet that came out of Family Tree Analyzer. So without using anything else, without using any of the visuals in Family Tree Analyzer, I've got all this power of my tree, which is really, really exciting. But anyway, this is supposed to be about Family Tree Analyzer and not ChatGPT or spreadsheets, but you can see the huge power of that. So I've got the export, which I just showed you, all the spreadsheets. And again, with the spreadsheets, we're opening up ChatGPT and all that other good stuff. Now, within tools, we have some options. I won't go into those, but you can choose the way things are displayed in Family Tree Analyzer. You can choose the way they're shown to you and colors and all that kind of good stuff. Now, maps and locations are slightly more complicated, and we'll look at the tab on that. But I can create maps, and I'll show you how we do that, but you may have to go into Google and do some things and create an API. So if you wish to use maps and you wish to map all the events in your family tree, it's doable, and I'll show you when I get to the tab that it's doable. And it takes a little bit of work, and I won't go into it here. This is not a how-to video, but under help, it will tell you about how to do the Google mapping here. And within the help, again, this is a free system. It's written part-time by somebody who wishes to help as genealogists. So there's not a 1-800 number, but there is an online manual, which is pretty basic. But you can normally, most people can figure out how to use this. But if you have any needs, there are Facebook support pages, and that's where you'd go. Very, very helpful. So that's the overview. Let's look at the tabs here. So the main lists, very exciting, right? So we've seen the list of individuals, a list of families, a list of sources, a list of occupations. And this is very powerful. I can double click on any of these and see who was the butcher, for instance. Let's see if who was a blacksmith. I can double click on this and see who was a blacksmith. So I can use occupations. Now I've not, within this tree, it's not standardized. But if I wish to standardize the different things within the tree, I can really look at what kind of occupations I'm using. Typically within this tree, the occupations are tied to census, so we won't see it here. And then we have the custom facts, which I brought up earlier on, and we can see again where we have custom facts. So I've got certificates on hand, and this lists the people I've got certificates on hand for. So very straightforward. And I can sort. This is very much like a spreadsheet in its own right. But as I said, I prefer to just download this to Excel, and I can play around with it and use a lot more power in Excel to use. The families, again, we can click on this and see who's in a particular family. And we've looked at sources, and we looked at occupations. So that's the main list, and most of the main lists you can export to Excel. So I wouldn't get too tied into using it directly here. I'd download it to Excel and play with it that way. Now, again, most of us have got Pro Tools for Ancestry or something like that. Now, you will see if you're a Pro Tools user in Ancestry or even any, this will allow you to find more errors than you could even find in Ancestry. And the great thing about this tool is we can switch the errors on and off. So I've just got a few of them switched on here, and we can see we've got baptized, birth after baptism, which you don't want, facts dated after death, which could be true. It could be a probate or something like that, and whatever. So I can switch these on and off. And so if I click one of these, it changes the numbers. Now that would allow me to go into Ancestry or Find My Past or wherever I've got my tree and correct this. And once I've corrected it, I just reload the corrected GEDCOM back in, and I can see it's clean. So looking at duplicate facts, we can see the list changed. So again, very, very powerful. And I can see it all at once. I don't have to go into individuals to see it. I can see it, and I can go directly. I could have my Ancestry up or Find My Past up on another screen and just go there and correct these as I saw them. Duplicates is a big issue for all of us. As we're building our family trees, duplicates can get in there. So this allows me to actually manage my duplicates. And the great thing about this is that I can change this from a loose match to an aggressive match. So if you see, if I move this across here, it's really reducing the number of possible duplicates to ones that are probably our duplicates. And I can move this, toggle this across the top, as you can see, and I can move the number of duplicates. So obviously I'd want to do the aggressive match first, and then go and correct those and reload them. So that would be a really good way to start cleaning up duplicates. I know most of the systems have got duplications as well, but when I tested this found duplicates in a different way to, for instance, Ancestry Pro Tools. So you use this tool as well. If you're paying for Pro Tools, use this as well. It's free, and it will help you find other duplicates, I'm pretty sure. Now, another thing is what's called here is loose births and loose deaths. What the system does here is it looks at the other facts within a person and tries to estimate when the birth could be. So we can see, I won't go into a lot of detail here because it's pretty straightforward. So Thomas Almond, looking at the facts within his profile, his birth was probably between 1681 and 1765. So they're looking at marriages, they're looking at births, this, that, and the other. So now I can go and do a little bit more investigation, but it's giving me a target to go at in terms of birth, and very similar for loose deaths. We can look at deaths in the same way. So between 1861 and 1968, that's a big range, but it really says that based on the profile, you can go back in and maybe do some more investigation, but almost certainly this death will be between this date and this date based on the profile. So very, very useful, and we can do that. And as we see, we can export that to Excel, and we can do our own work on that as much as we want to do. Let's keep going. Let's look at surnames here. So surnames, I can look at the different surnames. I've just brought it up, and how many people are in each family, and I can double click on here. I didn't double click very well. Let me go back to that. So we can look at the different families within Family Tree Analyzer. Now what it does do is it will go to the Guild of One Name Studies, and my system's not working quickly enough here, but we could, let's see if we can make that work this way. Let's do this. So it will take you to, there you go, the Guild of One Name Studies, and I can put a name in here. It's taking a little bit of time, but I could now look at the Guild of One Name Studies and see whether that surname's in there. But it's something I don't use. I don't know whether anybody else uses, but I don't use that particularly. Locations. Now, what we can do is we can look at the countries and the different regions, sub-regions, and addresses. What I've done is I've used a tool on a map, and I've used geocoder to find a location, so we can see on the latitude and longitude, this is where that location is. Now, again, this takes a little bit of work. I'm not going to go into the detail here, but what I can do there, and you probably saw it pop up, is I can upload all this to a map. And we can see where my relatives are and what's been happening to them. So using the location geofinder, you can tell by my accent I'm English, so I can zoom into all these events. So I can click on event and what was happening there. So I used the family tree analyzer. Let's get back to family tree analyzer. I used the family tree analyzer there, and I downloaded an API from Google that allows me to do the latitude, longitude. Again, I'm not going into the detail here. There's a little bit more to it, but it's not that complicated. You just read the instructions and go with it if you wish to make a map like this. And again, this is in Google. Now I've got my own Google map. I can pretty much do what I want. I have all the Google mapping functionality there. So that's a very interesting thing from Family Tree Analyzer. And again, Family Tree Analyzer is the gateway to other things. It's the gateway to spreadsheets. It's a great gateway to ChatGPT. It's the gateway to using maps. Wonderful stuff. So let's go back there. Sorry about that. We'll go back there. We've looked a bit about facts. We can again double click on facts and see where the facts are. Very, very straightforward. Very powerful thing here is the census. So I can pick a census. In this case, the UK census, or it'll be the English census 1881. And what it'll do is it'll look to say who should be on that census. So let me do show not found on census. And we can see that these people, the ones in bold here, are direct relatives. But these people should be on the census based on their age, birthday. So really one would expect to have seen them on the 1881 census. So what I can do now is up here, this is pretty hard to see, I can choose a system to go and search. So I'm going to try and double click on Thomas Drust and see if it takes me directly to Ancestry. So let me double click that. Let's see if it does. So yeah, beautiful. Right, so I'm looking at our census within within Family Tree Analyzer. I asked it to look who's not available in the 1881 census, and then all I did was double click on Thomas Drust. I told it to go and look in Ancestry there, and it looked directly in Ancestry, and it's found a record. I don't know whether that's the correct record or not. I'd have to do some research, but you can see the enormous power of Family Tree Analyzer. Again, it's a gateway now, so now I'm using Family Tree Analyzer as a gateway into census records, and I could be using it as a gateway into Ancestry. I could use it as a gateway into Find My Past, Family Sage, Scotland's People, whatever. So very, very powerful, very, very powerful indeed. So let me just click off that there and go back into Family Tree Analyzer. So I can say equally, I can show who's been found on the census too. That's really, really good. So I won't go into these. Lots of options here, lots and lots of options, and the only way to find them out is to actually test them out. Lost Cousins here is a website, and it's called Lost Cousins, believe it or not. It's where you can tie together your census research to other people's census research. So it's a very good website, and I can visit it here. Let me just click on this here. So this is Lost Cousins page, and basically what it does is if I have found one of my relatives on the 1881 census in the UK, it will connect me to people that also found that relative in the census. So ideally it's cross-referencing people based on their successful census records. So the idea is I find Stephen Bousfield on the 1881 census based in Orton, and somebody else has found Stephen Bousfield, and we connect those together. It's more than likely that we're related, we're researching those families, and we've had a hit on the census. So again, as I keep emphasizing, Family Tree Analyzer is the gateway to all these different systems beyond all the things you can do within Family Tree Analyzer. So let's go back to Family Tree Analyzer. And that was the Lost Cousins. And again, I won't go into the detail, lots of details on the Lost Cousins website. You obviously have to create an account if you don't have one, and then you can use all the features and functions of lost cousins. Now, research suggestions, again, a wonderful thing here, very much looking at census records. So again, remember we looked at who wasn't on a census? This visualizes it for you. So we can see that this Anne Ackrid, and we've got lots of people here, but let's start at the top, is on these two. The green ones are here on these two census records, but based on her birth and death date, she's missing from these two, look, but reappears on the 1901. Beautiful way for me to go and start doing some census analysis, and this is really good visualization. So I could go and look for people researching, and then look at why they're missing. Like there's people missing complete from some of the censuses. But we'll look at the birth date and death date. So this is super useful. I think everybody uses Family Tree Analyzer, uses this in some way. And again, like a lot of things here, let me just see if I can add different filters, and I can select random fair names, but say here's all the Beaumonts, and we can look at the different things they've got missing. They've got birth, baptism, christening missing, marriage, and no death. So again, it helps. I'm a very visual person, so it really helps. I can go and look at my people and what's missing. So that's the research tips. And again, just go around here and play around. This is really just helping you visualize what kind of research you want to do between your family. Treetops, again, I can show this very quickly. This is, if you imagine, the people with no parents. So it's the top branches of your trees and where they fit in. So this allows you to filter on these, and we can go down, and most of them will be direct relations and blood relations, direct ancestors here. So very interesting. World Wars, specifically, this looks at the men who were alive and of service age during World War I, World War II. And again, I can filter this, but this is very interesting. So these men were born, there's a bunch of unknowns here. I should have got rid of the unknowns, but let me move down to some dates here. So these men were born, let's look at Walter Samuel here. He was born in 1874 and died in 1955. It's possible that he served during the First World War. So this report gives me all the people that I should have, certainly the men, I should have to do some research, and certainly in Europe, Western Europe and even Eastern Europe, most men, I would say most men, of service age during World War I especially served. Not so many during World War II, but again, we can do the same thing. So again, just helping with the research here. So that was a really quick view of Family Tree Analyzer, and what I want you to take away from this is there's some really useful things, the errors and fixes and all loose deaths and births and duplicates here. They're really useful things in Family Tree Analyzer. It's completely free, but also it's a really good gateway into other systems because it's taking your GEDCOM and allows you to turn it into a spreadsheet. Imagine what you have to do to get this information out of Ancestry or MyHeritage or whatever. It would take you a lot. So I say it's a gateway, and it gateways to lost cousins, it gateways to, let me see, Ancestry or Find My Past or wherever. It gateways to maps, it gateways to spreadsheets, and it gateways to, I've shut down, let me see if I can pull up the ChatGPT again, and it gateways to ChatGPT. So again, very, very useful. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, and it costs nothing. All you've got to do is download your GEDCOM as I demonstrated earlier on. So there you have it, a brief, although the video is about 25 minutes long, brief review of Family Tree Analyzer. And I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please hit the like and subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot to a small genealogy channel like mine. But the key to Family Tree Analyzer is not just the features and functions it has, But as I keep saying, it's a gateway. It allows you to get the information out. So now I can use ChatGPT, I can use spreadsheets, I can use Google Maps, and I can even connect directly into my ancestry or find my past or family search. So a great gateway tool. It allows me to get out my data, which is often very difficult to do. So again, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please comment if you use the Family Tree Analyzer. Let me know how it's worked for you. Good luck with your research, and I'll see you soon on another video.